How have you interwoven the learning activities for your students in the online course you teach?
The course I'm teaching is called Search and Research, A Journey in Muslim Civilizations, and the entire course is structured around the idea of a journey, which I think is particularly appropriate because it's a research course. And in the journey the students are taking, we're giving them the tools of navigation. We're telling them the direction that they need to go in. We're giving them other people to collaborate with on this journey. But because it's a research course, we're not entirely certain what they're going to discover at the end of that journey. And that's the exciting thing, that in some other courses, there are specific answers that you want the students to get and to arrive at the end of the course. With this course, even me as the instructor, I don't know what the destination will be. And I think that's, in a way, scary for students, but in a way it's also very exciting to feel that you are in charge of your own learning and that the instructors are there at every step to help you. But at the end of the day, you're really the one who's discovering something new and contributing to the world's store of knowledge. So I find that students feel empowered by that. And that's how the theme of the course came about.
When did you first start teaching this course, and how has the course evolved over time?
When I first came on board at the University of Toronto, I was told that there was something called the Research Opportunity Program, and was asked whether I wanted to participate in that. And it sounded so fascinating that students could be involved in a research project. And the first thing that came to mind was, wow, I wish I had had this when I was a student. So the moment I came to U of T, I started a Research Opportunity Program course and had one student on board. And one student became two, and two became four, and four became 10, and pretty soon I had over 100 applicants. So we were bringing a large number of students on board, and it was extremely exciting. So the course has evolved dramatically since it first began, from being an individual endeavor to being an entire group of students who are all embarking on a journey together, but yet doing their individual projects. And that has necessitated rethinking how the course is done and about the potential strengths that a group brings to the course, as well as the additional time on the part of the instructor, because then you're individually mentoring a large number of students. And so you have to think about what is the most effective way in which that can be done. And that meant also taking advantage of peer-to-peer learning, so that students also teach one another in addition to my teaching them. And that's been, I think, one of the greatest advantages of doing it in this kind of a format.
What are some of the challenges that the course components have been designed to address?
I'd say probably the largest challenge we've had in redesigning this course has been the fact that there are so many students taking what was originally designed to be individual studies, independent readings types of courses. So the challenge has been, how do we get these students to work together, to collaborate, to make the most of the strengths of a collaborative environment? And the restructuring of the course has been done with that in mind. There was a recent article that I read in University Affairs that pointed to the fact that doctoral students who are going through in the humanities have a lower success rate or a lower rate of completion than in other areas, often because other areas have greater collaboration. And where there has been greater collaboration in the humanities, students tend to finish much more quickly and more successfully. And I thought, well, if this is true of graduate students, well, why not of undergraduate students? That if they're working on individual research projects, which is what dissertation writers are doing, but yet have an environment in which they're collaborating with others, that will increase their success and also increase the chances of their completion. And so a number of the components of the course have now been made into collaborative learning environments. So the students are working on individual projects, but they're able to consult with others. They're able to brainstorm with others at every nook and turn. And I found that this has been an area that has been really improved in the course over the last year.
Yeah. What have been the most effective components to support student learning?
I think that the primary thing that has lent itself toward successful student learning has been the motivation. Students are excited about what they're doing. They're excited about the fact that they are working on something that nobody else has worked on in the same way that they're doing it. And so they're actually contributing to the world's store of knowledge. They're not being told to memorize certain facts, they're not being told to come out with pre-packaged answers. They are actually being asked questions that we do not know the answers for. And that has been a great motivating factor. The other aspect of their motivation is that they see value in what they're doing. Our research team is very much geared toward people understanding the pluralistic nature of the world in which we live, and to contribute to the understanding of other cultures, other religions, other people. And students, when they're in that environment, feel empowered because they see that all around them. And they realize that in the world in which we live, understanding others is of central importance. And the fact that they're able to contribute to that is a great motivational factor. So I'd say that's primary. As far as creating a learning experience that allows them to do that, I would say some of the components that we've created in the course have been essential. For example, we have a component which we call Navigating Your Travels. And in that component, the students are given skills that they need in information literacy that will help them in their research. So for example, learn to identify the difference between peer-reviewed works and non-peer-reviewed works. What are the various advantages of different types of sources of information? Where might an encyclopedia article be of value to them? Where might a newspaper article be of value to them? What is the difference between what they might find on Wikipedia, which has some remarkable advantages for certain types of learning, and how might that compare to something found in a scholarly journal? So they learn that, the advantages of Wikipedia are that it's immediately available. It's very current in many senses. But what they also learn is that they should look into the bibliography that is on the Wikipedia article to find out, well, what were the sources that were used for this article? And then they have the skills to evaluate those sources, to see, is this article telling me what I need to know? What are the authorities on which this article is based? And then how can I look into those sources if I need to go deeper and to expand the bibliography, to expand my knowledge base? So I'd say that these are some of the skills that they get in that component of the course in Navigating Your Travels.
What are some improvements that you would like to explore in the next iteration of the course?
I think that as this course grows, what we're going to want to do is to actually improve some of the components that we've started with. So for example, I think that we would introduce the information literacy components, Navigating Your Travels, even earlier. And the reason for that is because I think that today the true measure of whether students are learning is not the store of knowledge that they end up with, if that ever was the proper measure of learning. I think that today, more important than ever before, is, are we giving students the tools they need to find out what they don't know once they leave the course? And taking those tools and applying it to situations that haven't ever existed in the past. The rate of change in our world has increased so much that we're trying to prepare students for problems that don't even exist today. And the question will be for them that, do I have the tools to approach those problems on my own once I'm outside of the university environment? So yes, we're giving them a store of knowledge. We are giving them an awareness of scholarship that has gone before. But we're also giving them the tools to now create their own learning environments, not only now, but for the rest of their lives.